like I often say, there's only one Mr. Producer, and I am not him. But that was a good call. It was a good practice warm up for me, I guess. You guys got to watch some body language stuff. But let's take a look. I want to make sure we have audio working before I dive all the way in. So let me see. I'm going to check the chat. If you guys can let me know if audio is working in the chat, that would be extremely helpful. Let's double check. Oh yeah, it's working. We're good. We have audio. All right. Well, this is take 2 on today's morning power up. Let's go through really quickly what I got to practice on the first iteration here. First of all, I want to let you all know that yesterday I conducted a 5-hour live Q&A review session, impromptu lesson teaching call with the Guerrilla Legion, right? This was their reward for winning last month's challenge. It was an awesome opportunity. I got to share with them some cool new sales psychology stuff that I have been teaching to a few of the apprentices only at this point. Just a nugget. I didn't get to teach them the whole thing. I don't want them to have too much of an advantage. I reviewed a lot of their outreach and was able to answer a lot of questions for the students inside of that campus. The replay is going to be uploaded. If you're in the Guerrilla Legion, know that finally that giant 5-hour file is ready for upload. You guys are going to get access to it later today, along with the resources I promised you. Now, those of you who are not in the Guerrilla Legion, to the victors go the spoils. You need to understand that to the victors go the spoils, right? They have won, therefore they have received more. That does not mean that I will not be doing Q&As, that I will not be going into the other legions and giving you guys that same information. They just might have had it maybe 20 hours before you did. So be on the lookout for new information dropping inside of the legions. Be on the lookout for new information being shared inside there that will help you all move forward quickly towards winning this new challenge, right? So be on the lookout for that. If you're in the boot camp, you need to work your way through the boot camp as quickly and efficiently as possible. The boot camp is fantastic. It's a great way to get you up to speed and get you to understand the core concepts and to start to apply them. However, the real learning and the real work happens inside of the copywriting units that come at the end of the boot camp. So finish the 14 stages, get into a legion as quickly as you possibly can, because that is where all the magic happens, right? All right. Now I'm going to get into the content that I shared earlier in the previous call with no sound. You guys all saw my body language. You probably noticed the way I was speaking. And you could probably guess that what I shared was something serious, something that I felt was deeply important and will have a major impact on your life as a young man who is on his way up in the world. And I'm going to share that information with you guys again now, for real. So, when I announced this live call, I teased and said that I would be revealing the B word that is keeping you from making $10,000 a month. And I will. I'm going to be describing a powerful mindset shift that every single person who has left an impact on the world has made, right? Every single person who has ever in any way influenced the world or achieved something great, they have adopted this mindset shift. Before you adopt this mindset shift, life feels like you're fighting in the cage with your hands handcuffed behind your back. There's a certain level of impotence. There's a certain level of inability to influence your world. But when you experience the mindset shift I am going to be laying before you today on this call, it will feel as if your hands have been freed. This is an important step that I want you to all keep in mind here. Most people, your average person, will take the path of least resistance 9 times out of 10. If you take and put someone in a room with, let's say 3 doors, and one door is really easy to open and the rest are really difficult to open, 9 times out of 10 people will take the door that is easiest to open. Humans will take the path of resistance more times than not. You can count on them to do so. However, if you as a person take the path of least resistance, it generally never leads to where you actually want to go. So there is a very common path of least resistance that people take when confronted with the reality of the depressing nature of their life. You all have dreams. You all have desires. You all wish to become someone who is living a fantastic, powerful, and wonderful life. But if you look at yourself in the mirror today, you might only be living 2% of that life today. You might only be 2% of the man you truly wish and know you could be. Now, when you confront that fact or begin to confront that fact inside of your mind, you have two options. One, you can accept responsibility, start doing the hard work and do that, which is going to be difficult. It's going to take decades of work, or at least years of difficult sacrifice, blood, sweat, no tears, to get that and become that man and achieve that life. Or you can simply blame someone else for your lack of success and absolve yourself of all guilt and sit back and relax, knowing that it was someone else's fault that you aren't living that wonderful life. It was the government's, the economy. It doesn't matter. You cast the power off to someone else, so then you can sit back, live your lazy life, and feel good. The problem is that path of least resistance is a lie, and it's empty. And I've seen far too many men in my life take that path of least resistance and then look back when they're 50, 60, 70 with emptiness and regret. They become a hollow shell. And that is why this is a somber call. That is why this is a somber message I share with you. I care about each of you too much to allow you to take that path of least resistance. And whenever I see a student begin to take a path of least resistance, it tends to, let's say, break my heart a little bit. I carry on. I control my emotions and move forward, but it's a serious thing for me. There are lots of ways to increase your personal power, but this is step number one. I would like you all to carefully consider the results you have currently generated in your life, and I want you to compare them to the results you wish you had generated so far. I want you to consider them carefully across all aspects of your life, your physicality, your relationships, your income, all of those things. I want you to consider everything carefully and consider the deficiencies. Consider the places where you are underachieving, where you are not living true to your imperative, to your desire to be great. And I want you to ask yourself why. I want you to look carefully and search out places where you have blamed other people or other outside sources, at their outside influences for your lack of success. And take that power back. Sure, we live in a world where outside forces are at play. We're like a ship sailing through an ocean with currents and winds. However, a good sailor finds a way to adapt, to use the winds and the currents to his advantage, to still get where he wants to go. And you must do the same. And the sailor does that by taking control, believing he has the ability to direct his ship. He has a rudder, he has sails, he has all sorts of tools at his disposal to navigate the changing world to get where he wants, because he believes that he is a force that acts on the world instead of the world acting upon him. You must adopt a similar belief in your mind. Every single man who has achieved greatness, all the great conquerors of the past, the great artists, the great writers, all the great copywriters have all taken this path. They have all reclaimed their power from the outside world. And it's what gives them the ability to increase their choices in life. When you cast your power off into the outside world, it limits your choices. Your scope of personal power, your scope of personal control, your locus of control shrinks. But when you take back power, it gives you a larger locus of control. It gives you more choices. Now, the day you take back your power, you won't be able to immediately snap your fingers and step into that wonderful life. There is a path that takes you there, and it's a difficult path. There's a lot of hard work. You might have to go through a copywriting boot camp and fine-tune your outreach and do all sorts of things in order to achieve that result that you want, for example. But when you take back your personal power, you gain the ability to take that first step on the path. This process is a lot like a young chicken being born. So when I was a kid, I grew up in Southeast Texas, right? We had animals. We raised animals. It was wonderful. Great way to grow up as a child. And oftentimes we would incubate batches of eggs for, so we could get new chickens, right? It was really interesting. I remember as a young kid, it was extremely fascinating to watch the eggs hatch, right? Because the little bird starts breaking out of the shell. You can kind of see cracks form, and you kind of see a beak, and then it kind of like wiggles its head out and breaks the shell. And when I was really little, I asked my dad, I'm like, we should help them. We got to I made as if to move and like help him. And he stopped me and he told me that if you help the chick out of its shell by like physically removing the egg, that it would kill the bird. Within 24 hours, that bird would die because it needed that struggle in order to be strong enough to survive and to continue growing. And I didn't understand that as a child, but as I grew up into a man, I began to understand it. With you guys inside of the Copywriting Campus, I seek to allow you to break out of the egg. It is a difficult struggle. This process of regaining your power, of learning these skills, of applying them and earning the life you want is a difficult process. I cannot do it for you. I can give you a good environment. I can give you resources. I can point you in the right directions and help you ask good questions. But ultimately, you have to take responsibility for your outcomes. You have to do the work. You have to go through the necessary struggle it takes to be born as a new man. And essentially, that's what each of you is doing inside of this program. Sure, you're learning how to make money. You're going from wherever you are to someone who can earn money and can help businesses and can write effectively and persuade people and understand others. Sure, you're learning a bunch of really cool skills, but ultimately what's happening is you're going from an average person and you're going through a period of struggle and difficulty to become something great, become someone who can live free, who can live at a higher capacity. And that process is difficult and you will struggle. And this is one of the first steps you must take in that struggle if you wish to become great. You must examine your life carefully. You must determine where you have given away your power, and you must reclaim it. By doing so, you will be able to live a full life. Like I said at the beginning, it's like a UFC fight. You're in there fighting for your life, and both of your hands are locked behind your back. Taking back your personal power will give you your hands back. It will give you an ability to influence your world and to achieve results and impact, push out, act on the world, and have it respond to your actions. This is the first step. And I encourage each of you to carefully consider this. Like I said, I've seen far too many people, 60, 70, 80 years old, looking back on their life, bitter, empty, broken, living their life entirely inside of this idea that other people are the cause of their failures. And I've seen others at that same age, young, vibrant, wealthy, happy, filled with a life of abundance and love, all because they believed that they had power over their world and took ownership of their results. I've seen the long term, I've seen the future, and I hope each of you make the correct choice today to take back your personal power and do the difficult work it takes to expand it. This has been a good call. I'm glad the audio has finally worked. I will do this again tomorrow. Until then, consider these thoughts, go out and do the work, and earn your personal power back. I will talk with you guys again tomorrow.